What is up, Waffle Gang? I do hope you are well. My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some more am I the butthole? And if you like this, give that initial waffle. Timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like button, as that really helps out. Subscribe if you feel like it, and maybe that notification bell too. All really helps out the channel, but you spending 20 minutes or so of your day with me is more than enough. So thank you so much for doing you. And let's crack on with today's cheeky stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from Beneficial Error 4840, and it does follow with an update. Am I the arsehole for telling my stepdaughter to leave the house after she called me a homewrecker? My stepdaughter and I don't have a good relationship. Have been in her life since she was 9. Her father and I started dating 3 months after he filed for a divorce. We were colleagues for a short while, about a year before their divorce, but we didn't have any relationship back then. I left the firm just 6 months after we started working together. I didn't even think about him once till we reconnected at a party hosted by one of our colleagues. His ex-wife thinks he had an affair with me. There is nothing we can do to convince her otherwise. We told her daughter about her suspicions when she was around 13. We had a great relationship till then. I tried to tell her that her dad didn't cheat. She doesn't believe us. It's just our words against her mother, and the timeline does look a bit suspicious. She withdrew from me, and she has always been distant since then, and sometimes she made some remarks about her father being a cheater, and it was very hard on both of us. It was something we tried to talk about, but it was just our words against her mother's, and she truly believed it. She returned home for summer break after her freshman year. She decided to spend most of the time with her mother, but she does visit us a few times. She visited us 2 days ago. She was in a remarkably bad mood. She was just stewing in silence and watching something on TV. I asked her to turn the volume down as I was working. She blew up on me. She called me a homewrecker and a gold digger. She accused me of ruining her parents' marriage. I was stunned and shocked, and it hurt me. I knew she didn't like me, but she clearly hated me. I think her calling me a gold digger hurt the most. I'm at a stage in my career where I want to switch to something less stressful, but one of the reasons I don't is because we don't want her to be burdened by debt. I love this girl, even if she didn't care about me. I asked her to leave the house and come back when she could be a bit calmer. She left the house and she is not talking to her father. He tried to talk to her and she is not speaking to him. I feel incredibly guilty. I should have handled it better. I got too emotional about it. I really can't blame her for believing what her mum told her. If my mum told me something similar about dad, I would have believed it, and I can't blame her mother too. If you believe that your spouse cheated, wouldn't you tell your children at some point? I let her words get to me, and I may hurt my husband's relationship with her. I feel guilty as hell. My husband also thinks that I should have been calmer here, and I just let her vent a bit before talking to her. Edit, she is in college. Now, as mentioned, an update will be following after the comments, but coming into this one and initially starting to read it, I thought, ooh, this lines up for a bit of a cheating story, but obviously it didn't from what OP said, because it sounds like OP and the father, they connected after he quit the job. So I guess you can't be blamed for anything in the story. You're not the arsehole for what you said. You've told the truth all the way through, and I'm afraid the mother seems to have poisoned the daughter against you. So mother is definitely an arsehole in this situation, and I hate to call the daughter an arsehole because she's just believed what her mother said, but she's still going to be the arsehole as well for not sitting down and talking to you logically about it. And I know it's incredibly hard because obviously she thinks that, her father has cheated and basically wrecked the family and called him a homewrecker and all this sort of stuff. But from what it sounds in this story, it's not OP's fault. So she would be the arsehole just for that. But I'd say a very light arsehole because, as I said, I hate calling someone an arsehole when they're partly the victim in this as well. But Danica says no one's an arsehole here except for her mum. That poor girl has been poisoned by her mother. But can you blame her? It's her mum telling her that stuff. You can't expect someone who was 13 at the time of being told to be a detective to find out if it was the truth. I bet her heart was broken because she loves her dad. But I also don't expect you to put up with it. You are innocent, even if the timeline is suspicious. You should have to put up with that verbal abuse from anybody. Maybe you could have handled it better, but you could have handled it a lot worse too. Gilded Lily says not the arsehole. She was incredibly rude to you in your own home, and she's an adult, not a hormonal teen anymore. Your husband should be firm with her, but he's probably afraid of losing her altogether. Invite her back now that everyone is calm and show a united front. Tell her the facts of your relationship, that you pay your way, and that you love her. Also tell her that her rudeness won't be tolerated in your house. She might be unhappy, but she can't sit on your settee watching your TV and expect to treat you like dirt. Infamous Wasabi says, this young woman is a victim of her mother's lies about you. The bio mum is the main arsehole here. Those lies do not excuse stepdaughter's behaviour towards you in your own home. Yes, you could have handled it better, but we are human beings. We're imperfect. Tell her that you're sorry for telling her to leave, but you were upset because you did not have an affair with your husband, while he was still with the bio mum. You are not the arsehole. Forgive yourself too. And we'll have one more from Philadelphia, a lawyer who says, not the arsehole, no need to put up with that shit in your own home. Stepdaughter is the arsehole. If that's what she thinks and is butthurt over it at this late date, she can stay away, not come into the house and act like an arsehole. Now we're going to move on to the update to see what that says. So update. I was overwhelmed with the amount of comments I received. I read most of them, but some of them were pretty judgmental and harsh on all of us. She did make up with her dad a few days after, but she didn't come over. Some people suggested that I show her evidence, but the funny thing is that I have none because we had no relationship outside of the office. He was an email address and a nice voice on the phone for my time there. I think we interacted in person maybe once a week. We were not even in the same department. I've shown her our resume. I've tried to show her our ID tags, but she thinks we're hiding our relationship. You can't prove a negative. My husband did have a conversation about how she treated me, and I think it got through to her. She visited yesterday. She apologized for being short-tempered. I apologized for kicking her out the house. We had a nice dinner and we ended up talking. My baby got cheated on. She did lash out on me, but considering what she believed, she just took out all the hurt on me. She looked so heartbroken talking about it. I know how bad it is. When you love someone so much that even when they trample your heart, you just want to pick it up and offer it back to them. I just gotten out of a toxic, messed up relationship with a cheating arsehole when I met my husband. It was heartbreaking to watching her go through something similar. I did cry a little. She let me hug her, and that means a lot to me. I missed my baby. We have so much to work through. We are seriously considering having some family therapy, but I didn't want to spring it on her when she was emotional. My husband is planning to talk to her about it. Things are still a mess, but after a long time, I feel like we are moving in the right direction. Edit, I saw all the comments. Thank you for the comments. I'm going to read all of them, but work calls. And I think that's a positive update as we can expect from that one. You know, it sounds like things are moving in the right direction for these two. You know, they're starting to talk, possibly family therapy in the future, which I think could be a huge help from the sounds of it. But what do you guys think of this one? Are you happy with the update? Do you think it's a positive one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to the next story. And our next story comes from Left Them Out. Am I the asshole for keeping my family out the house in the rain because they sided with my ex-wife in the past? My ex-wife Sasha and I didn't end amicably. It was a total nightmare. Up until it was actually finalized, she was in denial about us splitting and was doing everything to keep me in her life. When that didn't work, she went overboard. We were separated for 7 months before I filed for divorce. Only a few people knew about our status, but she kept telling everyone we were still together and just trying to work it out. We weren't, but that was her lying. The divorce dragged on for a while. Around this time, I became friends with my current wife. It was almost like love at first sight. We really hit it off, and within 3 months after meeting, we started casually dating. Sasha found out and spread the lie that I'd been having an affair with my wife, and that's why I left her. Then made up another lie that she was pregnant and I just left her and her unborn child for another woman. This was totally bullshit, but my family ate it all up. They never even gave me a chance to say my side. Coincidentally, she miscarried from the stress of the divorce, and I was an even bigger monster to them. Then they went for my wife too, with calling her a homewrecker and many other horrible names. My wife was amazingly supportive through this, and I tried to keep her out of it as much as I could. But in the end, I cut my family out. For maybe about 3 years, we haven't spoken. My wife and I just had a boy 7 months ago. Don't know how they did, but apparently my brother managed to catch my ex in her lies. The truth has been trickling out, and now they want contact. Except I don't want contact for how they acted, and especially not the way they treated my wife, without ever once believing me or giving me the chance to say my side. My mum, my sister and my dad came to our place and begged to talk. I refused to open the door, so they were left outside. Coincidentally, it started to drizzle a little over here, but still, I didn't let them inside. My brother believes I'm being an arsehole leaving them outside the way I did, when their goal was to apologise. And I guess my mum said she felt humiliated and crushed. I told them that's fine. I'm glad they finally saw the truth. In a way, I saw their truth in how ugly they can be, and even if they are remorseful now, my life has been happy and full without them. Now it's resorted into anger from him and my dad, thinking I'm being an immature arsehole for not even giving them the chance to come into my home. It seems wild to me that they'd go making me out to be the bad guy. I don't really know. Am I? In some ways, this story is quite similar to our last story in the fact that X is poisoning OP's family to turn against OP. But these are all adults in this story who have all turned against OP in this, not giving him a chance to say his side of the story. And in some ways it kind of felt like, you mentioned that, you just had a baby, a 7-month-old, and it sounds like they're just trying to get back into your life to see this baby, and that's the kind of way it felt to me for a little part of this story. But I've got to say, you're not the arsehole here for however you choose. As you say, your life is happy and full now, and you've kind of seen the way that your family would be willing to treat you when things go wrong. So I don't think you're being immature at all. But Wind River 7 says, not the arsehole, the real reason they are contacting you is because they want to see your son. Interesting that you heard nothing from until your baby's birth. Your family could have approached by phone call, email, text, but they really want to see your baby. And that is why they tried visiting in person before offering apologies ahead of time. Case Snitter says, wow, not the arsehole. They locked you out in the storm of your divorce, when you could have used shelter with your family. I could keep going making parallels, but I feel this is enough. And Rainbow Bread says, I'm assuming they arrived there through their own transportation. They could have just left instead of hanging out in the rain. I'm going to say not the arsehole. They never should have gotten involved in your relationship drama in the first place. And what about Tiddy says, classic, not the arsehole, and quotes, my mum said she felt humiliated and crushed. And then says, look how the tables have turned. I truly don't know if they regret that much believing your ex, or if they want access to an actual existing grandchild. I believe they only believed your ex because she was going to give them a grandchild and wanted to keep her happy, because if not, what other explanation is there to not even once listen to what your own son has to say? And now there's an already living child they probably want to be the grandparents of. And we'll have one more from Slight Weasel who says, not the arsehole. They turned against you. Sure, your ex lied to them, but believing her over you and treating you terribly over it was still a choice your family members made. It feels like a betrayal because it is one. The only appropriate move for them at this time is to sincerely apologize once, via letter or something where they're not putting you on the spot, then back the hell off and let you initiate contact if you ever want. This stuff where they're showing up at your doorstep demanding you let them in so they can talk to you right now, that's manipulative and shitty as hell. Stick to your guns, dude. Now, what would you do if you found yourself in a similar situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll roll on over to the next story. And our next story comes from TA number 9. Am I the arsehole, 33 female, for not taking my brother's 38 kids to Disneyland with me? Long backstory, my brother and I have a strained relationship our whole lives. We come from a really abusive home. Our mum was amazing, but we were all horribly abused by our dad, and she couldn't/wouldn't leave. When I was 17, I moved out of state and had very little contact with anyone outside of my mum. My mum ended up being diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer and fought really hard for 8 years. I would fly to visit her every few months as I could. I ended up married to a really horrible and abusive man. He ended up having a heart attack and had to have a quad bypass. He was horrible to care for and just got more and more cruel. 3 months after his heart attack, my mum's health turned for the worst and she passed. Our dad was horrible to us, going as far as trying to sue us for some money our mum left us. After the funeral, my husband got more and more abusive, and I took the money she had left me and filed for divorce. I decided I needed some me time, so I decided to go spend some time at Disneyland and visit family in the area. My brother told me I was stupid for getting a hotel and I should stay with him and his family. He has 2 girls, 5 and 8, that I've only met twice. When I get there, I was shocked that him and his wife were planning to go to work and leave the kids with me. I am not good with kids. I don't dislike them. I'm just uncomfortable being responsible for them. The entire family knows this very well. I've been like that since I was a kid. I am happily child-free. I told him I wasn't there to be daycare for his kids. He got upset. He had already told our aunt that she didn't need to watch them that week. I was irritated that he hadn't even asked me about this. I told him that I wasn't planning on being available to sit at his house watching his kids while they worked, and reminded him I was planning to spend a few days at the park, which is a few hours away. I may be bad with kids, but I know better than to even mention Disneyland around them. Later that night, he tells me that it's stupid to pay for a hotel by the park. I should just drive up for the day, then I can take the girls. Without missing a beat, he asks them if they want to go and spend the day with their aunt at Disneyland. Their response is what you would expect. I was floored. I told them I had to go home and I couldn't go. I grabbed my stuff and drove up and found a hotel close to the park. I spent 4 days bouncing between parks, ordering room service, going to the pool, spa and bar, and a few times just drowned my sorrows alone in the hotel room. My phone blew up with family, who I haven't been close to in over a decade, telling me how awful I was and how much I upset the girls, my brother and his wife. That they were all grieving too, and I was being selfish. So, am I the arsehole for not taking them with me? As we was getting closer and closer to that point, I just knew that guy was going to turn around and say, "Hey girls, Aunt's going to Disneyland, do you want to go with her?" Oh, I could just see that coming. Oh my word, who does that? And to even invite you to their house and then think, I'm just going to use that person as free, childcare, and not even ask you about it. You just turn up and then like, right, we're off to work. Look after the kids that you've only met a couple of times. Gee whiz, the absolute cheeky bastard. And I know blocking family and getting rid of family is thrown around a lot on Reddit, but I gotta say, in this case, for the time being anyway, I think you need to just wipe them out of your life for a moment to get your life back together, to grieve in your own way and for your own mental health. I think that's what you just need to do, because these people are clearly trying to manipulate you into doing things you don't want to do. Enjoy those bars, enjoy those spa breaks, and enjoy your alone time. Grieve the way you want to, and hopefully you'll heal in time. And that's all I can say about that. But let's check out some of the comments, because I'm pretty sure they're going to be the same. I hope so anyway. Old Man Puzzle says, "Who the heck, after experiencing an abusive home, sees their sister fleeing another abusive home and decides, hey, free childcare? Absolutely not the arsehole. Your brother is really heartless for treating you this way after so many recent traumatic events." Girl of 100 List says, "Not the arsehole. Your brother, assuming you would babysit without asking, decide for you that hotel is inappropriate, and manipulating the situation to guilt you into taking his kids to Disneyland are all signs that your relationship with him is emotionally abusive. Given everything you've been through as a child and as an adult, I hope you've already found a good therapist. Block his number and those from family who are critical and don't look back." OP replies to this one saying, "I've spent a lot of time in therapy. The family uses it as proof that I have issues. He is the normal one who doesn't see a therapist. Our relationship was strained because as things got worse in our home, as kids, he would find ways to throw me under the bus so that I was the focus of the anger instead of him. Once he was older, he would get into it with our dad and then leave, leaving me alone with him now that he was drunk and had been fighting with my brother. My mum just avoided coming home at all costs." Raymond Beaumont says, "Obviously not the arsehole. Your brother just wanted to use you as a free babysitter. Block the family members that are feigning being upset." And we'll have one more from Salty Porpoise who says, "Not the arsehole. Your brother and his wife are the arsehole for making such a big assumption about your visit. Any parent knows how different DL alone versus with kids would be. I never make assumptions about people watching my kids. I'm glad you got some time to yourself, and I'm sorry they are such jerks." How would you feel if a family member did this to you, invited you to their house, you turn up, and then they're trying to use you as free babysitting? And I know there's much deeper stuff in this story, but that is just crazy stuff. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and your verdicts on all of today's stories if you choose to share them. If you want to support the channel further, never any pressure though, but you can click that join button down below for YouTube, or click the link in the description and then click Patreon there, and it will take you there and you can join up there. A huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending 20 minutes or so of your time. Is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for your love, time and support. There is a playlist right above right now that you can get involved in, and I will just scroll through the stories for you if you want to do that. Much love, guys.